Hello, everyone. I'm Fabian, head coach for M80 Rainbow Six Siege team. I used to be a player back in the days, but that's in the Stone Ages, it feels like, for Rainbow Six Siege. So these times, people probably know me as the coach.
Awesome. Let's get started. What's a take about improvement you think is just completely wrong?
Something that is completely wrong. I think that a lot of people put so much effort into the amount of hours you put in compared to the quality of said hours. I think a lot
Mm,
of people forget to have a goal with what they're doing in day-to-day work, both be that in tier 3 practice or in tier 1 practice for some teams, but also on the individual level. It's like some people believe that if you sit there and play ranked 24/7, that you're going to keep up your skill, but I don't think that's true. I think that what you need to do is have efficiency during the hours that you're putting in, having a purpose behind it. It's like, imagine you're watching a VOD on any team that you want to learn from or any player that you want to learn from, but you're kind of just watching and like looking at kills and stuff like this more so than why are they thinking this? Why are they doing that? It's always get to the why behind the what, and then you'll have your answers, and that's how you're going to grow as an individual.
awesome. And what's a red flag that tells you a player just won't make it far?
It's hard for me because obviously I've been at the highest end for such a long time to judge a player in their early stages of the career. I think that a lot of the time, the people that you surround yourself with can tell quite a bit of who you are as a person. You know, if you're surrounding yourself with people that are kind of murky morals and some words they use when they're talking to other people, or some people that bully other people when they're playing games, you know what sort of person I mean when I say about this.
Yeah.
But it's like, if you surround yourself with those sort of people,
Mm,
you usually are one of them, which then turns into you not getting opportunities and stuff like that. I think it's a lot of who you are as a person. But if you're behaving poorly to normal human beings, you know, like any other person in ranked, I understand that we're all competitive people and that's why you want to be like a professional player. But if you can't treat those people with respect, why would you treat your teammates with respect? And I think it goes very deep on showing people respect just in general. Everybody deserves it, so it's not that hard of a thing to do.
got you. And Super said this in one of my previous episodes, but he said that it's harder to get into Pro League as a support player due to being overlooked, and that it's best to start out as a fragger until you find teammates who are stronger fraggers than you. What is your take on that, and do you see things differently?
No, I would agree with Seth on that. I think that if you can't put up the numbers already on a tier 3 level,
Mm,
then you're not going to be able to put up the numbers in tier 1. And I think that people use roles these days as a poor excuse. It used to be more important previously when you only had like one hard breacher, like in terms of you only had Thermite or Hibana as your option. But these days there's just, you have the Cans, you have Ace as well. So it's like, from when I was a player, it's a very different game.
mm,
And I believe that back then it was okay to excuse you that you weren't putting out numbers because you were a support player, simply because, well, you desperately needed that hard breacher to stay alive. And if you lost a round early when they were in a 1 versus 4 or something like this, and their stats would just be struggling. But today there's just so many options, and if we're looking at all these decent teams at the top level, none of them really have that one guy that keeps slacking on numbers. You can't afford it anymore. So
okay.
I agree with it that, yeah, you should be able to put up the numbers in tier 3. So stay as a gunner as long as you can, I guess. And
Mm,
then, but even then, I think that even as a support player, or what you want to consider it, like, you still need to put up the numbers, because these days the gameplay is just way different, and it's not that big of a deal if you lose your hard fragger or your hard support early, because you can still breach walls with a lot of stuff, or you just have so many more options, and also way more what I call power operators like Ying and Glass. So it's like you just have so many more options these days than you did back then. So I think it's an antiquated idea of the support player should be fine putting up lower numbers. That doesn't exist. Not even at tier 1 level it exists anymore.
right, got you. And lastly, why is there such a big skill gap between T2 and T1, and what should a T2 player do to bridge that gap?
I think it's a lot of the time it can be that a lot of the young tier 2 players, they don't think that they can learn too much from the guys above them. And
Mm, okay.
uh, it's hard to understand how that comes, because what I see a lot with younger guys is that they have quite a high will to play the game, but they don't have a high will to actually learn the game. So it's like when I knew that I was going to join M80, which was after both of our teams had gone out of SI last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
We sat down and watched VODs after VODs after VODs and hours upon gameplay about the other teams that did better than us at SI.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's one of those things where it's like you just have to really study it really hard and really look into why they're doing things. Again, I will repeat the same thing that I always say, and this is something that I say to my guys as well. And when we go to tournaments, it's like it's the what behind the why behind the what. Why are you doing that? What is the reason for you doing that? Like, what's your thought process? And it's also one of those things that I also add to the guys that when I'm talking to my team is a lot of the time we talk about how we do things. If we go to an event and we go out first day, I don't care as long as we played to our best ability, where we didn't do any mistakes in terms of mental approach or anything like this. So as long as we do the things the right way, the outcome is not something we can control. So it's something we have to let go of. But it's not what we do; it's how we do it. So it's like a combination of those two things, right? And that's where it's like you just need to put aside so many things personally to approach that higher standard that you would have in tier 1. So I think that the skill gap is there because a lot of tier 2 players, they just want to fucking play the game, and that's not how you become a good player. It's how you get good mechanical, but that's far from everything in a player. Everyone at the high level would have good mechanics anyways, right? So
yeah.
What's the point in grinding it when you can get 0.1% better on the mechanical step, but you're missing out on 45% of the gameplay when it comes to the mechanical part or the mental part and the strategical part and all of the stuff in between. And I also think a lot of the players in tier 2, they forget that they're building a team as well. A lot of the players are rotating in and out, and if you don't have trust between your teammates, like I understand that you guys are all aiming to go to tier 1. That's understandable. But at the same time, will you guys reach tier 1 if you're constantly just putting yourself as the only one that matters? You need to build your team with each other. And then you should be happy when teammates of yours get that tier 1 opportunity. Because if you build a solid 5, one guy gets taken to a tier 1 team, you guys stick as 4 and you pick up a new 5th guy. Well, the chances for you 4 to still get an opportunity next stage or the one after that is going to be way higher, simply because teams see that you dedicate yourself. You were happy for your teammate that they were able to get the chance, and you guys kept building something in your own project. So it's a long discussion. There's a lot to break down on that question, I think, but there's just a little bit too much childish stuff going on in tier 2, I think.